I always forget. So here we are. Now you just downloaded and installed this today, right?
Yeah, I just installed it today and I signed up and I have no idea what to do.
Okay. So what are you trying to do? And then we'll go step by step, and if need be, I'll team viewer into your computer and do some of it for you, depending on how impatient I am.
Well, I am confused on how to set it up because it's way different than regular OBS.
Okay. So what are you looking for out of your mainstream setup, and how many different games are you using? Do you use different streams for those games? What's your deal?
I have a lot of different games over one, but mainly I'm trying to do the desktop share slash game session.
Okay. So there's a lot of what I tell you, there's the easy way and then there's the best practices way. So the easy way, right off the bat, to just get up and running so that you can see and understand how Slobs is working, is to go ahead and you have it running.
Yeah, I have it running right now. It's
Okay.
on the main OBS part.
All right. So it should look somewhat like my screen right now,
And where would that be posted?
minus the task manager. That's on my Twitch stream. Just right click on my click on my profile, and then I think it'll give you a streaming link, or you can right click profile and then click the link to follow or to
Oh, to your YouTube?
Twitch.
Oh, Twitch.
Are you streaming on YouTube or Twitch?
I stream on YouTube.
Okay. All right, that's fine. All the things are pretty much going to be the same for you, except for the stream settings section, and I'll show you that. I stream on both, so you're lucky you got me, because not everyone does. Most people stream on Twitch right now. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll show you some of the stuff from thing. I'm actually going to leave this task manager portion up just because it might help you out with a couple things, and I'll explain what those are here in a moment.
Okay.
All right, so obviously there's going to be a delay, which is actually good in helping you because you'll be able to process what I'm saying, and then you'll see it happen on screen. You probably do want to mute the audio, as that's just going to create infinite me's, which some people will find them absolutely awesome, but for the most part, I don't even like hearing myself, so I wouldn't imagine someone else would want to hear me that many times. So with that
Yeah, I
being
get you.
here's the main screen that you're going to have. Now, I already have some stuff on here, but I'm actually going to make a whole new scene just for troubleshooting with you, or doing this sort of tutorial. What's your name?
My name's Comtech.
CompTech. All right. And so we're just going to make that your scene. So we just made a new scene. It made everything black. Now, there's a couple things that happen before this. You're going to want to go through the settings, and so I'll do that right now. Under General, you're probably not going to change anything from here in the beginning unless there's something here in the output section that you need to do differently. It should have run the auto optimizer when you started, which is perfectly fine, but you're probably going to ignore all those settings anyways because it's just trying to give you some general settings to start up with. Now, in the
Okay.
go ahead. Sound good?
Yeah, you good?
All right. In the stream section, let me know if anything needs to be adjusted on my stream as well. I don't normally watch my stream at the same time as helping someone, so sometimes I don't know if there's things that are off. But anyways.
Oh yeah, you kind of lagging out a bit, but it's fine.
Okay. All right. So am I lagging out in Discord or on stream?
On stream.
Okay, don't care about that. All right. So because they're gonna see all the actual video, it's if I were gaming,
Okay.
it'd be different. So here you can see I'm down on the stream settings, and you're gonna want to choose the YouTube gaming option. So stream services, and then you'll use the service YouTube gaming. And then
And I think that gathered it from my last OBS I had.
okay, hopefully it did. If it didn't, you definitely want to check your stream key. I'm not going to do it on stream, but you click on show and it'll show you your key. Make sure that's YouTube, because when you change between Twitch or YouTube or any of these, you manually have to change your stream key in my experience. So not a big deal, but just make sure that happens.
It's correct
It's
on
not
my
going to
side.
work. Perfect. All right, so then you want to go to the output side. By default, it's going to give you this simple output. Honestly, that's never, I mean, will it get you going? Yes. Is it the best setup? Usually not. So click on advanced, because now you're rolling with me. You're a big dog. And you're going to go ahead.
Okay, I put the output at advanced.
All right. Then audio track 1 is usually the one you're going to want to grab, but I'll touch on that a little bit more later.
Okay.
If you have a NVIDIA video card, you can use NVENC. It'll help lower the amount of load on your CPU, especially if you're streaming from the same thing that you're doing this stuff on, whether it's gaming or video editing or what have you.
Yeah, okay. So I set it to my NVIDIA.
Perfect. These two should probably be set because I'm guessing your resolution is bigger than 720 on your machine, right?
Yeah, it's at 1080.
Okay. Yep. So keep those two set, and then the output resolution I would probably set at 720. And there's a couple reasons for this. Most people aren't going to watch in full screen anyways, so 720 is plenty enough space on the screen for them to have a good video. Also because of bit rate. So most people, when you get above about 3,500 or 4,000, people are going to notice a lot of buffering. You probably already noticed some buffering in my stream, and I'm only streaming at about 3,800-ish tops on the stream that you're watching. Now, the reason I have a higher bit rate is because I am pushing 60 frames per second. So I'm looking for a little bit more fluidity with the gaming when I do Tom Clancy Siege. Quick things that need those frames in between to make them make sense, and make them look better. That's why I have the 60 frames per second. If you don't need it, do 30 frames per second, because at 30 frames per second, this bit rate's going to make that a higher quality video. The frames are just not so quick. So quicker things may not look as good because you're going to be moving more in between each frame. So as we come down here, some of the common settings that you want to make sure you have: CBR should be set. All streaming services like constant bit rates. Even though your bit rate's not technically really constant, it's trying to stay constant, and that's what the streaming services need to be able to provide a steady stream to people. As much as I
So my bit rate is set to 2,500 right here. Is that fine?
I would probably set it to at least 3 if you're doing 720 at 30 frames per second. At least.
Okay, gotcha.
Because now, do you have the bandwidth up? That's up to you. I don't know. What's your up bandwidth?
It should be running fine with the 720.
Okay, yeah. No, but what's your up bandwidth on your internet connection?
The upload?
Yep.
It's running at 12.
You have 12 megabits upload?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So yeah, so you can go pretty much anywhere and be fine. Technically, Twitch has a limit supposedly at around 6,000, but I wouldn't ever recommend running that high unless you know your target audience can support it, because you're gonna get a lot of buffering for people. Even above 3,500, you're gonna sometimes worry about running into buffering depending on the service, etc., etc. So that's kind of, your mileage will vary. Check it out on your own connection. But 720 CBR, and then the bit rate anywhere between 3,000 and no higher than 3,800. The idea is at 3,800, the additional bit rate for your audio shouldn't ever push it much higher than 4. And that's kind of a limit that I put on myself, and most good streamers are going to put on themselves to try to allow everyone to watch without buffering. So as you keep on coming down here, I like to use the low latency, high quality option. That helps keep the latency down as far as encoding time and try to get the highest quality out of it. Whether it works or not, you tell me. Look at some of my past streams. I've been running these settings for a little while. Also, just to point out, this is my gaming computer that you're watching on stream. My streaming computer actually has the same settings. I'm just doing this so that you don't always see infinite. You don't actually see the stream. I can change these things while we're doing this stuff. So, long story, I'll show you more about that later. Profile high gives you the highest visual quality. Now, one thing to stay away from, I know you probably see high 444p. I wouldn't use that. Generally, I haven't seen good results with that. And with NVENC, it may not even allow you to encode. So high is the best option there. I always use auto for right now. That may change in the future. 2-pass encoding, of course. If you have multiple GPUs, you can select exactly which GPU you want to do the encoding. So
you want me to just put on one because I have one GPU?
No, you put 0. What that's standing for is the GPU number, the initialization number. It's not actually the number of GPUs you have.
Okay.
But very good question, because people might look at that and think, oh, I have one GPU. Put one. No, it's your first initialized GPU should be 0, and then your second one would be 1, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I have 2 GPUs, and if you look here on my live scene, that I'll just pull this on front. I was just showing that so people could. So
Of course, I'm gonna change my recording format to MP4. Is that fine? Or
I ideally, so if you look at those settings, well, hold on, let me go to my other point really quickly here, since we're already at this point with GPUs, and then I'll answer the the formatting thing for you.
okay.
If you look at the task manager and GPU usage, you'll see there's a lot of 3D GPU going on. That's SLobs, that's all the screens on my computer, which I have 4 screens on this computer. Very cool, buddy. Um, but you notice that on this page you have a video encode and a video decode section. That's actually separate than your gaming GPU. So don't worry about running video encoding and decoding on the same video card as your gaming. Unless you're gaming on something that's really, really taxing your video card, it really won't have too much of an effect. We're talking only a couple percent off of your
Okay.
regular gaming. It does take some power, so yet again, that's what I'm saying. If you're maxing out your card, then you do want to try to offload that video elsewhere. But for most people, you can use these video encode and decode areas without any detriment to your gaming. All right, so going back over to your formatting issue. Now, there's a lot of different, people would tell you a lot of different things. Hold on. You're in the output section. When you get down to that, you'll notice my recording format is TS. Because it's not easily corruptible like MP4 or MKV. So the MP4, if you don't close that stream correctly, if you don't actually push stop and it writes the stuff for the ending, it's a real headache to recover that video file.
Well, yes, but I also have to edit it on Adobe Effects in the Vegas Pro.
TS should be easily editable on Effects in Vegas Pro. Easily.
Okay, because sometimes I did it on FLV and it wouldn't be able to go in.
Yeah, FLV is a little bit of a pain. They do FLV as a recording format just because it's relatively bulletproof, being that it's the Flash video format, and you can kind of recover from it however you need to. But yeah, I find FLV to be a pain as well. That's why I do TS, because if my stream stops unexpectedly, I do some streams where I'm overclocking and doing different stuff. I want that file to be easily recoverable, not a headache to recover. In TS, I can actually show you. I use you see right here, this is Cyberlink, which is on par with most of the major things. It's just not as intricate. Let me just save this before I show you. But under a new project, if I pull, let me see if I have any video. I think I do. I'll just take some right now while we're talking. Where did I put it? F videos? Oh, that's original, right? So here we're doing some quick recording. Going to our videos area. We should see some sort of video popping up here. I forget what the name's going to be, but it'll be TS. And you'll see that it should be easily adjustable. This one?
And then, okay, I get you.
Yeah, I'm just going to show you that it's easily importable. But you can use whichever one you want. You could use MP4, you could use all those. The thing is just that there's the files it's building right now. Obviously, I still am recording, so it should get bigger. So we'll go ahead and stop it now. And then here's the file. I take this file, and I open up my new thing. I drag it into here. Now it's a small file, so it was really quick. But you see, everything was read really quickly and easily. So if my Cyberlink, which many would consider not as awesome as Adobe or Vegas, I don't know that I agree with that. I think Cyberlink has led the way in a lot of different technologies. But that being said, it isn't one of the biggest dogs out there. And but it easily imported it really quickly. You see the frame here, and we'll just go ahead and show that that video thing is coming through perfectly. And I might add, my video settings are pretty damn awesome. Yeah, I know. Look at that. No compression. So anyways, yeah, I like to be a smartass. It's my superpower. So when we look over here at my settings, let's look at what settings brought me these sorts of results. One thing you're going to notice is my bit rate up here is 3,500, right? Now, this is a good question. I don't know. I've always set this, but I haven't had a chance to really look at the properties and see if it actually is differentiating the bit rates. So we'll find out right now together. That's the audio bit rate. Where's my bit rate here? Bit rate 5,780 megabytes per second. That's a capital M. This is
And the recording just do the same thing with the NVIDIA setting?
Yeah. So on the recording, yeah, I would use the NVIDIA unless you have extra CPU, and when you're recording, you know that you're not going to need that extra CPU, then you could use CPU, which might net you different results. But usually, NVIDIA encoding's fine. You usually have plenty of headroom with NVIDIA recording. When you see actually it hit your GPU, it barely uses much more than 13%, usually no more than 38% that I've seen. So it's not really taxing your video card. So you have lots of headroom with your NVIDIA. Also, you'll notice my output resolution, this is in my streaming area, but if I go down to my recording area, where is it? I don't have rescale output on. It's not there. So when we look at these properties, you're going to see that it's the resolution that I'm streaming at right now, which is what was actually captured. So,
Okay.
I mean, there's a couple different schools of thought on that, but at least it's good quality and it's exactly a replication of the stream, but with a higher bit rate. Because if you notice down here, my bit rate is 10,000. So no matter what, my recording of it is going to be a higher capture than what I was actually streaming out, which is what I was going for. I want to make sure that I'm saving the highest quality version of whatever it happened that day. Coming down here, same CBR. You could put this at VBR for your recording bitrate because you're just recording. So you don't need to use the all 10,000 if the recording doesn't require it. But you definitely only on the recording section. You notice I also have it set for Blu-ray, high, and my auto level is high. I'm using 0 for the GPU, but I could change my recording GPU to GPU 1 since I have 2 video cards in my system. I could actually do the recording on one, the encoding for the other on the other. That is a thought. Why is this?
Okay.
And then coming down here, audio bitrate 160 is usually fine. But if you're really trying to push things up, honestly, I wouldn't go much higher than about 192. That's usually going to kind of be the best that's coming out of stuff. Anything over 320 is probably way overkill. But you can always mess around with that and find out. Also, you notice the multiple tracks here. I mentioned that I would come back to this, and I still will, but you notice that there's different options for different tracks. Remember that, because in a moment here I'll explain how that helps, or what that can do. So here, let's go to the audio now. I have everything disabled for audio here in the settings. I recommend everyone does that because you want to control the audio through sources, not through this settings panel. And that will come clearer here in a moment. Video. This is your actual video. So, I would do your base resolution as your monitor, your output resolution as your monitor. Because in your stream output, that's where you're going to scale your stream to 720 right here, right? But your actual video should be 1080. So now when I take a recording, it should be a 1080 video coming out while I'm still streaming at 720. Common FPS, 60 is kind of the high speed option, 30 is the lower speed option. Either one is fine. If you think you can handle the 32 downscale filter, if you're downscaling, then that's great. I'm not doing any downscaling, so it doesn't really matter at this point. But the video options, I would keep both of these as your actual video, because remember, in your output, that's where you're going to want to set the rescale. That means now that the stream will be rescaled to 720, but my recordings should not be rescaled because I have no rescale option there. So while we're talking, let's go ahead and record this again and see if I'm a liar or if I misunderstood any of this, because I don't always have a chance to check each release as it comes out, and some of the stuff changes. But
Okay.
that's my understanding. So video, I just kind of gave you the answers there. Hotkeys, if you have time, these are awesome to set, and there's a really cool
Yeah, I can
tool.
set these. I can set these hotkeys.
Yeah, set them as things that are outside your game, things that require modifiers if possible, and then there's a really cool program on your cell phone and or voice attack. You could actually control all that with your voice or your cell phone while streaming if you wanted to. So there's some really fun stuff you can go here, but that's a little bit more advanced than what I'm going to do for you to hear today. And one of the reasons I'm able to take this time with you today is everyone else is staying relatively contained down there in general voice. So you lucked out because no one else is asking for support, and this is all really good topics for the beginning SLobs streamer. So there we go. Under advanced, I always put my priority above normal. However, there's something to note here. I usually also use a program called Process Lasso. I don't have it installed right now on this machine, but I'll show you over on my editing computer, and I'll show you a couple things here. So
Okay.
if you look at the stream in about 10 seconds, because I know there's a delay, you're going to see a different scene. This scene has 2 webcams, a chat, an event log, and 2 computers showing on it. My gaming computer, which you've been watching this whole time, and my editing computer, which you haven't seen anything about yet. The reason I'm showing this is because on my editing computer is where I actually do this practice. On my gaming computer, I'm not streaming from it, so all these settings really don't mean much. But on my editing computer, I have the program called Process Lasso, which you're seeing right now. I actually have the key, but I just reinstalled it, and I haven't had a chance to activate the key on here yet, and I'm lazy, so I told you that in the beginning. Don't know why you're surprised. Active processes. This thing's awesome because you can take your processes and make them do whatever you want, right? So boom replay, I always want that process to be above normal. So I can come over here, right click on it in Process Lasso, and tell it that, hey, this process, priority class, always above normal. Now, Process Lasso will go ahead and make that change. So the reason I'm telling you this, you're probably like, okay, how does that have to do with SLobs? Well, what's this guy on? Well, in SLobs, we can set it as above normal, and I recommend doing that. But what that means is that when you're gaming, you want your gaming processes to be the same or higher than above normal. That's where Process Lasso comes in. So whenever you play a game, come in here, find the game executable, and make it high or above normal so that it's running at the same process priority as your streaming software. That way the game doesn't get shortchanged CPU priority or time, and you're going to get a better experience. I have a lot of people that I've helped out on here on stream. If you look back through my archive, and all of them come back to me and say, "Oh, my stream is so much smoother now, etc., etc." And it's because of some of these best practices that I had them set. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have other things going on, and I look into recently someone had a huge frame drop. It turned out he was using, I had already told him not to, but he was using the automatic server setting that it started up with because he forgot that I said always change that. Look at the one that's closest to you and try that one first. The auto setting is just whatever it finds. And for some reason here in Ohio, a lot of us are getting sent to San Francisco. So think of how many servers we're having to hit before San Francisco. So our encoding to stream lag time is going to be high, and we're going to have a lot of lost frames quite often through servers that aren't responding correctly and time issues. So anyways, I digress. So there you go. That's Process Lasso. You should check it out. It's free, and there's also a paid version, which is pretty good too. So this is my actually editing computer. You can see I'm live. And just to prove that my settings work well, I'm pushing this at 60 frames per second, no more than about 4,000 kilobits a second, and I have 0 chopped frames right now. And if you look at the lower portion of this, let me make this bigger so you can see it better. In the lower portion of this screen, you can see those frames, and it's going to drop as I change scene for a moment, but it's right back up to 60 frames per second possibility of going out with no drop frames.
Right, like transitioning to the next Half-Life level.
Right, yeah. So when you have a transition, your frame rate's gonna drop a little bit anyways. Sometimes it's because of the effects you use. Sometimes it's because of just what you're doing, the transition. I also have a preview on here. If I wanted less of a drop, I could turn the preview off, and when I switch scenes, it'd probably not drop at all. And look at that, 59 to 60 as I switched over scenes, and 39 on the way back. So, there's a lot more on some of these different scenes than others, and switching over just it depends on how it is. I'm gonna go back to my gaming computer because that's the easiest place for me to show you stuff. Turn my preview back on, but I'm pushing a clear 60 frames per second, and I have no drop frames. That's the key. That shows me that my settings are correct. Now you did see a warning thing on there. That is from a day ago, and that's editing. When you edit, you're going to have lagged frames because as it's rendering to try to show you what you just did, frames are going to lag. So you're going to have a percentage there. And but yep, nothing while I'm streaming. So here we are, back up to here. These settings are all normally pretty fine, except for, like I said, process priority I would put above normal. You don't need your SLobs fighting with your everyday Windows processes to, hold on a second. What the hell is my wife doing over there?
Okay.
I think my wife is napping. She just slumped over in her chair. She's such a goober. She's still breathing. That's important. All right, well, there you go. Get the camera up in her face in a moment. It'll be kind of funny. Anyways, you don't need your programs. My voice probably put her to sleep. Fighting, with your everyday Windows programs to stream. Your streaming software should be above that. Overlays, exporting your overlays, importing your overlays, importing widgets. These are all very experimental. So use it at your own risk. Notifications, I have them, and I usually adjust these a little bit higher because 15, 10%, that's barely anything of a stream. Probably didn't, people might not even noticed, but when you start getting into 20, 25, 30, especially with dropped frames, if you're running 60 frames a second, you could literally have your dropped frames at almost 50%, maybe 45, and people aren't really probably going to notice that unless you're using all 60 frames like in a first-person shooter. So if you drop 50% of your frames and you're pushing 60 frames a second, guess what? You're still pushing through 30 frames a second. Most people, that's what TV is, about 30 frames a second usually. So anyways, there you go.
Yeah, usually.
And then appearance, I always have night mode on. I put chat to the left, and this is where you can adjust your chat text size and chat width, and better TTV emotes. So that's a pretty quick overview of SLobs. One of the best practices I would like to point out right here at the end is when you make a scene, and I saw that a new person come in here, and I'll help you here in a moment. When you make a scene, so like stream starting or intermission or any of these where you have extra stuff going on, what you want to do is you want to create the scene so that you can move things around without having to move multiple things. So if I want to move this has no frame around it, so it's perfectly fine. This can be a source. But if I wanted to put a frame around this, or I wanted labels on this scene, then I would want to make it, this is one of the benefits of SLobs. I would make this scene its own scene, not just a source. I'd make a scene with this on it and anything else that I want to adorn this thing, whether it's subscriber counts or labels or anything. And then I would use that scene as a source for this scene. And I know it starts to get confusing here for a moment, but I'll show you here on my editing computer what I mean. So if you look here at my gaming and editing scene, right? I'm going to go into full window here. Now, normally, these things right here, the webcam with a frame, with a subscriber, all this stuff, these are all different items, right? Wrong in this case, because I put them all together on their own scene. So if I want to edit this, all I have to do is click it, and look, it's all moving together. My webcam and those labels and everything. It's all on its own scene, so that allows me to edit and move things around without the big hassle of having to move every individual item. So I could actually show you that scene, which is my gaming webcam scene. Gaming webcam scene. Already fixed up for you on that scene, exactly however you said it. So there you go. The one last point I wanted to make that I didn't touch on till now, for a new user, one of your best resources is the library. let's go back to my gaming computer. The library here gives you a lot of pre-made scenes, but they're just the quick and dirty ones. So they're not using my best practices of putting all those special items on their own scene. They're just putting it on the scene there for you. If you want to do that, then you just copy and paste each of those items into their own scene and use it that way. But it's a quick and easy way to get some sweet scenes and some nice animated scenes. Check this out. So much quicker than you would yourself. So let's look here at newly added animated scenes. This one looks kind of fun. It's bright and all over the place, right? So if I like it, I click on it and it pops up. Look at that. It's all animated. Donations, followers. This is perfect for our short attention span ADD culture. It's awesome. Something to distract everyone. So I click install overlay. It goes ahead and installs it. And by the way, I can say that because I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was a kid. ADHD.
Oh, that looks nice.
So kind of cool, right? So it's a little bit over the
Right.
top. If you used it for a long time, it might get a little bit annoying, but it's fun, you know? So here, when you go to the live scene, this is how it's set up automatically. You slap your own webcam in there, and all this stuff's already set up. Now, to best practice, is it like, again, like I said, you'd want to take each of these items and copy them onto a scene. So I would make a new follower badge scene, and that would have the new follower background with the new follower tag in there. And so then when I want to move that around, it moves around together. But for a quick and easy, dirty scene, look at that. I mean, it's there. We could literally change our name on there and put the webcam in, put our display in for our game, and we could be going and stream right now with a pretty cool looking layout, right? SLobs. That's what it's all about. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up on that. I think that was a pretty good tutorial for you today. Let's go ahead and get AT Lex.
I'm sorry, I can listen you.
You can't hear me?
Listen you.
Yeah, you can definitely listen. No problem.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you, my friend.
No problem. I am streaming, so if you want to see the visual representation of what I'm saying, you just click on my profile, click on my Twitch link, and you'll be able to see the stream as well, understanding that there will probably be a delay of sorts on that stream. All right, it's Lex. What,
Yeah, I have a very, I guess it's a very simple problem, but I'm pretty retarded. I started the stream, but I can't find the stop stream button in all the chaos of my PC.
Did you click test widgets by accident?
Yes.
Do you see on the left-hand side hide test widgets?
Yeah.
Click that.
Oh. Okay, I found it.
By the way, thank you for your help.
No problem, Computex. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and pay it forward. You know, share with people the video we just did, and you can probably explain it better than I could, maybe. I don't know. If you can't, the video's there. Just go step by step and help whoever it is that needs the help, so that you know, we can improve our gaming community and everyone can have fun.
Okay, thank you, man. I can finally end the stream.
No problem. I've let you out of your purgatory of always streaming.
Thank you. See you later, man.
All right, take it easy. My wife did conk out. She just rolled over. She's asleep. Ate too much food. All right, and I'm all alone. Cool. Imagine that.